Hello viewers, welcome back to Ask Dr. G. It's been a while, but we welcome you back on the show. For those of you who are tuning in for the first time, karibuni sana. If you haven't already subscribed, please do click on the button, the subscribe button, and also share. Welcome back.
Thank you very much.
G.
Thank you for having me.
It's always a pleasure.
Thanks, it's my pleasure too.
Yeah. First question.
Yes.
That's been on my mind. Is love at first sight a fact or a myth?
Interesting question.
Yeah.
More often than not, this has been a subject of debate. There are instances where people have been attracted one to another and it's resulted into a long-term relationship or even a short-term relationship. There are instances where it hasn't resulted as such, yet people are attracted one to another. So you may not want to really brush off the fact that there is that attraction at the very onset of meeting, which many again then get to call love at first sight, which may not necessarily be love at first sight. But then again, you also want to look at what people talk about it being a fact of life. There are those who get to meet and it gets connected and they move forward with it. So it's pretty much something to do with how probably it's built after that will determine.
That is more important.
That will determine, yes.
Right.
Yes.
So is it critical that a couple should have that initial physical attraction? You know, they talk about this love hormone called oxytocin.
Oxytocin, yes, yes.
That oxytocin,
yes,
I hear scientifically is very critical.
Yes, it is.
In
yes, it is.
bringing that connection between two people.
As you've rightly talked about that hormone, you see, we are created emotional beings.
Absolutely.
We are social in nature. And there are things that attract us, all right, in our surroundings. There are human beings that we look at and they get, we get to be attracted to them. And there are those that we get to look at and we close. There's a closure of some sort. And so, yes, to some extent, there is the aspect of attraction at the first moment of first sight, I should say. And as I initially had said, the build-up that comes after it is what determines.
Is the
determinant.
Is the determinant.
Exactly.
What we're talking about, perhaps lust as opposed to love.
Again, that's precisely, the build-up that comes out of it, whether it's going to come out to be a relationship that, becomes proper or is going to lean towards lust. So the build-up that comes from the first attraction, which again I said earlier that it's called love at first sight, is the determinant.
Interesting.
Of the whole thing, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering whether the attraction is determined by creating a first good impression. Does it matter if you're creating a good impression, or men are visual. Men are visual, and women, we like what we hear.
That's very true.
So
that's very true.
So I guess for men, it's like, okay, what you see is maybe what you will like, and for ladies, it's the conversation that ensues.
There are instances where it could also be the reverse.
Yeah.
The things that the things not only that we also see, but also the things that we also get to hear. Let me give you a quick example. I sat down in a basketball pitch, and we had a number of ladies seated behind there, and we have these masculine men running all over with their basket, going
in their
up and
trunks
down.
And their shorts.
Exactly, and you could hear from behind, wow, I love his muscles, I love everything. So it's not only from men's side, it could also be from the ladies' side. And that's why we're saying that attraction at the very first sight depends on the priorities that each individual gives in their lives. There is what we call the outside, attraction, beauty, and there is the inward beauty. When you get attracted by the outside beauty, the physical thing that you see, it doesn't necessarily,
it's not a reflection of perhaps what's inside.
It doesn't say that what is inside is exactly what is the same as what is outside.
I think we've all experienced that.
Exactly, exactly. And that's the reason as to why, probably to go a little bit further, why we can't qualify the aspect of, love at first sight. It's pretty much risky for me. As a person who would counsel people in terms of what to determine how to build up their relationship in the future.
So essentially, I think what you're saying is we should be more concerned with what's on the inside.
Precisely.
Ultimately,
Precisely.
although it is important also what is on the outside.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They say beauty lies in the
Eye
beholder.
of the beholder.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And each one of us are attracted differently.
Yeah.
What would attract
Yeah.
me to you
Yeah.
it could
It's
be
different.
It's different from what would attract somebody else to
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
And so since it's the inward beauty that we're looking for, which is not instantaneous, then it behooves us best to take a little bit more time to understand
to interrogate.
that. Exactly.
Yeah, who
And
is
so
this
that
person?
exactly.
Yeah.
And so that first instance can't necessarily, give you the whole picture of who this person is.
Yeah.
It's actually very deceptive. Probably in the recent past, we've just come from the recent past.
Yeah.
And I came to realize that we get to know people by their faces. I've I'm talking about COVID-19 and masks. And in many occasions, I've found myself running,
Walking past someone that you
passing by people that I
generally would have
knew
known.
because they've covered their faces.
Yeah,
And so coming
that
to a
is very true.
relationship setup,
Yeah.
I want to say that at the very onset of life, when we are getting to meet with someone, there is always a mask that we put to woo in someone to our lives. And that mask is not necessarily what you'll find tomorrow
Yeah.
and the day after and the
Yeah.
days that follow.
Yeah.
And
That is
so
true.
they say that when the novelty of
Wears
attraction, all right, when it wears off and then reality dawns on us, then again we start questioning the love at first sight.
Very true.
Which then begs the question, the very first question he asked, whether it is a
myth or a fact.
or a fact.
Let me throw a spanner in the works. So
All right.
now, when you're praying for someone,
Okay.
do you think it's shallow to ask God to give you a tall and handsome husband, or a light-skinned wife, or we're being real with ourselves. We're saying that's what I prefer. That's what I would like. Do you think it's a shallow prayer?
I don't want to say yes or no, but I want to, to spin it even further, the spanner, and say, for example, you get the tall and handsome, but just as we've been laying it down here, the tall and exactly. So the tall and handsome becomes the ruthless and impatient person. What then happens? And so for me, I think when you're talking about asking God, the priorities of what you're asking for, right,
should be rather the internal of that person as opposed to the
exactly.
external.
But that doesn't mean that you forgo the outward beauty. Something unique in the scriptures is that I've been looking at God's servants. Abraham, his son Isaac, later on his grandson Jacob. All of these, their wives are described as beautiful. Abraham had a very beautiful.
So it looks like a serious prerequisite.
Oh
like
yes, it is.
That people
Oh yes.
Really
no one. I mean, this is person that you'll be beholding every
day,
every single day.
Very true.
And the converse is still the same from the lady side to the man.
Because really, essentially, in our humanness, it's very important to us.
Yes, yes, it is.
But we shouldn't put the most emphasis on that.
On it. That's it. And the outward speaks a lot to the subconscious of our minds to give it a go ahead. So it does play a role. But for those who want to go a little further and deeper, then they've got to interrogate the inner beauty more than the outward beauty, which still stands a ground for the decisions that we make.
That is true.
Yeah.
Okay. My last question in this area. Now, is love at first sight different for men as it's for women? Can you expound that?
Pretty much, yes.
You said something about basketball.
Yeah.
Maybe we can go further into that.
Pretty much the same, yes. I mean, I just want to take you back to the sentiments that you made a little early. Men are more to sight than to what they what they hear to, and that's pretty much what makes the difference. For women, they go to somewhat a little bit different than just sight, even though they do cherish. Lately, I do hear ladies talking about a six-pack person. They talk about masculine. There are those who talk about tall, dark, and handsome, whatever it is. But it's not as much as it is compared to how men look at the beauty. We are attracted to outward beauty more than women are attracted to outward beauty, and so there is a difference. Yes, I should say.
I think what I've come to realize, and with age, is that the things I valued when I was in my 20s are not the things I valued as I've grown older.
Exactly.
And you come to realize, okay, fine. This guy you met, he's going to have a six-pack, but one day he may not have that six-pack.
Precisely.
Will that mean that you'll love them any less?
Definitely
or that
not.
woman who was very slim will, after about 3-4 babies, add a bit of weight because it's inevitable.
Well, although it's not given.
Yeah, it's not given, but it does happen.
Yes, it does
more
happen.
than often.
True, it does, yes.
So does that mean the love diminishes? And really what you said is the most important thing.
Sure.
Let's focus on what's on the inside.
Exactly.
More than what's on the outside.
Exactly.
Excellent.
And probably to sum it up as to this aspect of love at first sight, then it would be good for young people and those who are interested in getting into marriage to spend a little bit more time, because marriage is a long term. It's not a short term institution, and you want to make some commitments to prioritizing the things that will matter in that long term institution.
Absolutely.
Rather than making a huge decision to things that will just last for a very short time.
Very true.
In the recent past, I was able to look at a clip online where I saw the most beautiful fast pilot, lady pilot. And after about 50 years, she was looking very beautiful. And after 50 years, the face that we were looking there, it was not it. And she's still beautiful at heart than it is outwardly. And she's lived longer with the husband, not necessarily because she was that beautiful as a first female pilot, but I want to believe because of what she was inside. And so it's always proper for young people or whoever it is that's gotten interested to enter into marriage to look deeply into the things that will still last for a long time, rather than those that will fade away in a very short time. And that's where now that first attraction or love at first sight is questioned. And everyone needs to put that on the table before they make that next step of moving into a lifetime commitment.
That's great.
Thank
you,
very much.
Dr. G. This was very enlightening. Our viewers, please tell me, if you're a lady who is single, would you be inclined to say, reach out to that guy you fancy, or would you take a step back? Please, let's have your comments. And thank you for joining us today.